Good morning, everybody. Gotta have fun, right? What else? Good morning, good morning. Happy Tuesday, everyone, and happy week 11 in the MMCC lockdown kitchen. I am really excited to share this recipe with you. It comes from our first book, this one, Monday Morning Cooking Club, The Food, The Stories, The Sisterhood. And it's very connected to me because my sister-in-law, Kathy, who lives just down the road, she's a great cook, as was her mother. Her mother, Elisabeth, I spent many Friday nights with and a lot of time with. She passed away quite a few years ago now, but her cooking was unbelievable. She was a beautiful lady and her cooking was fantastic. And she used to make she was Hungarian and made all the traditional Hungarian dishes like chicken paprikash and all of this. And on the side, she served these Nokedli, and Kathy also makes them really well. And me being a, Melbourne girl of Polish heritage, never knew anything like Nokedli in my life. It's not something that my mum would have made or that was in her repertoire. But Elisabeth made them all the time, and I just loved the idea. And it wasn't actually till I learnt them for the book, which would have been in about 2009, that I even had an inkling of how to make them and how easy they are to actually make once you get the hang of it. It's basically a noodle made with flour, eggs and water that you then cook in boiling water. And the thing that makes it unique is the machine or the device you use to cook it, but there are many different ways. I know I put on Instagram that you needed one of these. This is called a spaetzle maker. It's another name for it, but that's the, the Swiss, German, Austrian version of this noodle is called spaetzle. Do I say that right? Maybe it's spaetzle. I'm not sure which one. Anyway, you need one of these. It's called a spaetzle maker. This one is a great one, and I think Kathy bought it for me years ago. So one side looks like a box grater with big holes in it, and it has this device on the top, which is pretty much just a cup with a hole in the bottom that you slide up and down over your water, and the noodles go in. I'll show you, of course. So you pretty much put your batter in and you go like this over the water. Before I start, get a pot of boiling water. If you're cooking along, you'll need a pot. This is what I call a half stock pot size. It's a good medium-sized saucepan. Fill it 3/4 of the way, 2/3 of the way with water. Bring it to the boil and we'll salt it later. We're going to just get that on now. Okay, so go and do that if you haven't already. I don't know. No, I didn't tell you to, so why would you? So get that onto the boil now. If you can start off with hot water, it just will make it go a bit quicker. Put the lid on, bring it to the boil. Mine's over there already boiling. So back to the spaetzle maker. This is mine. It's a really good one. I haven't seen this one around. The one I linked on Amazon, which a lot of you bought, is a plastic version with an aluminium thing, and I think it will work fine. You just won't be able to fit as much in. I can fit almost the whole batter in one go. Okay, if you don't have that, these are a few options. You can use something like this, which is a slotted spoon with holes in it, and you'll just take spoons of the batter and we'll push it through into the water. Okay, that's option 1. Option 2.
I'm not sure I understand.
I wasn't talking to you, silly Siri. Is a colander. You need a big saucepan and the colander. Sorry. She's telling me about colanders. I never even said, hey Siri, so I don't know why she's, now I've said it. Colander like this. That'll sit in the water. We'll push the batter through the holes. Okay, you need big holes. These are small, but you'll still get noodles from it. Option 3. I spoke to Kathy yesterday, and she said her mother didn't always have one of these devices. She used to have a board with a handle. I've got a board with a hole in it. She used to put the batter on the board and cut it into the soup. We might try that a bit later after I've shown you the first batch. I'm not sure how it's going to work because I've never done it before, but I just want to give you options for those of you who don't have it. How many of you got yours arrived in time? I know some people were waiting for it. I hope they did. Anyway, give me a thumbs up or a sign if you've got yours. I'd love to know. Okay, let's talk about the equipment you'll need. Obviously, you'll need the saucepan on. There are 3 parts to this recipe. The first is making the batter, which we're going to do in a big bowl like this. So you're going to have a big bowl, which we're going to put our flour in a minute. So get your big bowl ready. Excellent. Lauren, Maureen, Esther, excellent. Thumbs up. Okay. Dorrit used to do it on the board. Maybe I need to come to you, Dorrit, for a lesson. Oh, good. Michelle, Danny. Oh, fantastic. Okay, lots of people. Deborah, Roz, excellent. Lots of people have got their Nokedli devices. Okay, back to the bowl. So you need a bowl, you'll need a whisk, and you'll need a wooden spoon, and you might even need a spatula. I actually use all three. I know when I was going through my equipment this morning, I thought it's a bit excessive to have three things. But I think you'll see what I mean as we go through it. This is for the first part, this is for the next, and this is for the last. So I'm going to use all three of these. So grab those if you can. That's part one, making the batter. Then you're going to need your saucepan and this. That's part two. And part three, you're going to need a bowl to put them in. And I've got some olive oil and salt and pepper because I'm just going to make it as a side dish. But I'll talk to you about what you can do with it once you've cooked it if you're not serving it straight away. If you are serving it tonight, you need to rinse it straight away actually under cold water and let it get cool. But we'll talk about that more. So you'll also need a slotted spoon like this or like this to scoop out your cooked noodles as they cook. You can cook the whole batch in one lot and you can tip it into a colander in the sink. But when I learnt to make this, I found it easier to do it in smaller batches and then just let it come to the surface, boil, scoop out into your bowl, put the next lot in. That's how we're going to do it today, just so everyone can cook along and we can take our time. Okay, let's talk ingredients. You're going to need 500 grams, which is 3 1/3 cups of plain all-purpose flour. Of course, I've weighed it because you know I like to weigh everything. 500 grams, I know exactly how much it is, and there's no room for error. I have got 3 eggs, and I use large eggs in my kitchen, always do. 3 eggs, 2 teaspoons of salt, and for this I'm using the fine table salt. You know, we got all those things from Olsen. So the one that comes in this container, which is the Olsen's fine table salt, which I really like. So I'm putting 2 teaspoons of that. You can use any salt you like, but that's just what I'm using. Oh, sorry, something's got stuck there. Okay. And 1 1/2 cups, again, measured carefully. It's 375 mils of water. Just something about these Pyrex things. I find that the cup measurements, they must be American, aren't they? Yeah, so what happens is the cup, I go by the mils rather than the cup measurements, because in Australia we have a 250 mil cup. So those of you in America and Canada, you need to take note of this, that it is not 1 1/2 American cups that we're talking about. I know it's only going to be 15 mils difference, but I want it to be precise. So 375 mils of water is what you need for this recipe, okay? Which is, if you want to know in American cups, it's going to be 1 1/2 and a tablespoon, okay, for Americans and Canadians, okay. Robin, yes, of course you can do 1/3 of a mixture. You could do half a mixture if you wanted to weigh an egg and cut it and use a half an egg, which I do often. So 1 egg, I did this morning with Esther. 1 egg, so let's start from the beginning. So you need, it's going to be about 165 grams of plain flour, 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, no, 2/3 of a teaspoon of salt, 1 egg and 1/2 cup of water. So if you want to make a small amount, I'll say that again. That's 165 grams of plain flour, 2/3 of a teaspoon of salt, 1 egg and 1/2 cup of water. That's for a small mixture. Okay, so let's start. Have my flour in a bowl. Remember, everyone's water is boiling and it needs to be fully boiling when we're going to cook. And I want to make a little well in the flour. Just going to use my glass there to make a well. And I'm going to put in the eggs, into the well, okay? So 1 egg. Actually, no, that's fine. Okay, 1 egg. Just cracking them into the glass because, you know, I don't like to risk an egg being off and then ruin everything. You know, then I've got to throw out the whole mixture. 2 and 3. Okay, so everyone with me, I have got 3 eggs in the well with my 500 grams of flour. I've got my 1.5 cups of water ready to go and my 2 teaspoons of salt ready to go. So now I'm going to use my whisk and I'm just going to keep my eggs in the well. Can you see that? Keeping my eggs in the well. I'm going to add my salt in. And once the eggs are nicely mixed together, I'm going to add in the water. And what I'm just looking for is a nice smooth mixture in the well. I don't want any stringy bits of egg. I want to make sure the whites and the yolks are fully combined. And now the water and the salt too. Trying to keep it, you see, nicely in the well. Okay, can everyone see that? Got my mixture sitting in the lovely well. So now I'm just going to slowly add in the rest of the water, like this. And it's going to start to come out of the well because the well's not big enough for all the water, which is fine. My bracelet. Okay, so you can see I've come out of the well, but that's all right. Now I'm going to change from my whisk to my wooden spoon, and I'm just going to bring in the flour. That's it, that's it, that's it. It's so, so simple. You can see, don't worry about the lumps, we'll get rid of them. I find a wooden spoon's better than this, better than a whisk for this, because the mixture gets stuck in the bits of the whisk, and I find that a spatula is not strong enough. This is a tiny bit of an arm workout because it's a heavy batter. I don't mean super heavy, but just a little bit heavy, okay? And you can see it's all coming together, already smelling delicious. Eggs and flour, yum. You know, it smells like dough or batter, which I really like. And now it's just a matter of giving it a really good mix with your arm. I did weights this morning and my arm's a bit tired. So I need someone else to come and do this for me. So give it a mix, okay? I want you to work hard at it, and I want you to work at getting it to be a smooth mixture, just like a pancake batter. That's pretty much what it's like. Okay, I'm just going to move this down here. Height. Okay, so everyone give it a really, really good mix together. Okay, and you're going to get a beautiful glutinous mixture that's going to have a bit of elasticity in the batter. You'll see what I mean when you mix it. Okay, so this is really getting smoother as I do this. It's only going to take a minute or two, but you can see the mixture starts to have a life of its own. When you give it a mix, it goes boom, back and forth, which I really like. Sort of like our cooked apricot the other day when it was cooked on the stove, and it sort of had this life of its own. This is the same. Now this is where I need my spatula. You wondered why I need so much equipment? Because this is a perfect thing to scrape down the sides. Nothing does it like a spatula. Yet the spatula's not quite heavy enough to mix this mixture. So I'm just going to spatula for a sec, put it aside and go back to mixing it for another, let's say, minute. Okay, so how's yours going? Anyone give me some thumbs up? I know it's hard to mix and type at the same time. I understand the challenges of cooking. I did a Neil Perry class on Saturday night through Qantas. He was doing a cooking class and dinner, or dinner with ingredients, and you cooked along. It was really, really, really fun. But it was so interesting to be on the other side of the Instagram Live and to see how he did it and how it felt when someone's going too fast and all of that. So I'm very conscious of keeping things running slowly so everyone can follow along and catch up. It's very thick. It is like a thick porridge, okay? But it has that glutinous thing from the flour, which makes it sort of spring back and have a life of its own, which I love, okay? So is everyone with me as far as the batter? Mine's smooth enough. There's no big lumps in it. It's very thick like that, okay? I'll bring it close to you so you can see exactly what it looks like. Okay? That's it. That's the mixture done. So we are ready to go to the next step. Yes, I put the salt in, Karen, with the eggs. So I did the eggs in the well, added the salt, and then the water slowly. Okay, great. Thumbs up from Esther, excellent. and it's lovely. I just like mixing it. It's a really good workout as well. So if you want to get your arms in shape for summer, Australian ladies, let's go. And gentlemen, I should say. This is the way to do it. This is a really good thick batter. Okay, that's good. Now I'm going to just move this and bring my saucepan over. And we'll go to the exciting part, which is the cooking. All right. That is not good. All right. How are we going? Okay, if it's still lumpy, just keep doing it. You can put your whisk in if you like and give it a whisk. That will help get through the lumps. And then you've got to, so just do this, okay? Get your whisk and just give it a really good mix, okay, with your whisk until the lumps are gone, and they will go, okay? You've got to work hard, Debbie. I want to see some hard work from you and your arms today, okay? I promise you the lumps will go. See, that's why I don't like doing it with a whisk, because you do get those bits stuck in it, which is not such a big deal. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my spatula, because I'm going to use my spatula now. My mixture is lovely and smooth. It's not fully smooth, but there's no big lumps in it, okay? There's a couple of little ones, but that's okay. All right? Bringing my saucepan over. And I'm going to need some cooking salt in my saucepan. I want it well salted like I'm cooking pasta. I'm using the Olsen's cooking salt, which is the one in the brown and purple packet, the coarse grained one, which I'm going to use. And I'm going to put probably a good heaped tablespoon in there. Okay, and I want my water to come to the boil. The beauty about these things is that they have a little thing on the bottom to put on the edge of your saucepan, okay? So what you can do, you sort of clip it on, and then that just goes like that. Just be careful though, because the plastic bit here sometimes melts if it gets close to the flame. Plastic and fire don't work, I realised, together. So everyone with me, okay. Okay, I don't know about the plastic tag that keeps the cut part from flying off. Just think about what this needs to do, okay? That might help. So I'm going to put the batter in, and I'm just going to do it like that. I don't want it to go off the edge, so if it's stopping it from flying off the edge, that's a good thing. You just want to go back and forth over that. So I think probably leave it. Maybe leave it for your first batch and then see how you go, okay? We're just going to do one. I'm just going to do one little batch now for starters. So pretty much you take your batter, and you can either use a spoon or I'm going to tip it in because it's just as easy for me to tip it in. I'm going to stop that there. And now I'm going to just move my device along the length of it without going over the edge of the saucepan, because then it makes a mess. It sometimes does make a mess. Be ready for that. Just go back and forth until all the batter is gone, which will just take a few seconds. Okay? Yep, so my thing's now clean. I'm going to put this back on over here, and I'm going to boil my noodles until they come to the surface, and then a minute or two. I think it needs more than just coming to the surface. I do think it needs a second. I've got my slotted spoon ready, and I've got a bowl. I'll go through the other things after, okay? Let me just do one batch with the Nokedli thing, and we'll see if we can do the colander and the board, okay? So those of you with the Nokedli device, it should be easy for you to do that. Hopefully I know it's hard, can't type doing this at the same time. So I think that looks good. They've all come to the top, as you can see. They're boiling again. The water's come to the boil. I always do like to have a little taste, and you know me by now. It's so good. It's just chewy. It's got substance, and that's done. I've literally boiled it for a minute after it's come to the surface, okay? So that's it, out, Nokedli done. Like, it's easier than cooking pasta from a packet. It really, really is. And it's so beautiful that you have cooked it yourself. My eggs are really lovely and yellow, so the colour of these is great. Okay, so that's it. That's batch number 1. Okay, you can see, Nokedli done, no trick photography. If I was going to serve that, I would, as a side dish, what I would like to do is take a bit of olive oil and just drizzle it all over. Okay, and this is where I'm using my good olive oil, by the mean of like special. I do love the Cobram every day, but just my special olive oil. And I'm going to take some of the lovely flaky Olsen's salt, a little grind of pepper, and you can just eat that on its own. Like, it's actually fantastic as a side dish, as a little it's absolutely delicious. That's option 1 of many. That is delicious. Yeah, that oil is really good. Yum, Lorenzo. All right. So that's option 1. If you've just cooked a batch and you're not going to serve it till tonight, you can do that and let it just cool and reheat it. But what I'd rather do is put it under some cold tap water, rinse it, and just let it drain. And then when you're ready to cook it tonight, you can microwave it or heat it in a pan with some olive oil. Okay. Oh, hey, Jay Kaplan. Archie. Oh, we've got Archie, our friend the dog, here. Welcome, Archie. Moggs the cat's not here today. I'm sorry to say, I haven't seen her yet. Maybe she'll come up soon. All right, let's talk about other ways to do this. So, do you want me to do one more? I'll do one more go in this just in case anyone missed it, to show you how to use this device. Okay, so just to say again, it's got a little clip that clips onto the end of the saucepan. I don't know if yours does, but mine does. You put your device on top of your boiling water. You tip in or spoon in, whatever works for you, some of the batter, which is lovely and thick. I'm glad that Twitty, your cat, has joined us, Calm. I know Twitty's enjoying the cooking as well. Maybe Twitty should meet Archie. What do you think about that idea? Okay, and then back and forth, and sometimes it does slip off, and that's okay. Just take your time, and move it back and forth carefully. Yes, Calm, the water should be laughing hysterically. That's exactly right. A very rapid boil. So for those who missed that, we've developed over these months a way of telling if water is boiling, how water should be. Someone's grandmother taught us that if it's simmering, it's smiling. If it's boiling, it's laughing, and that's a really good way. So this water should be laughing hysterically before your noodles go in. Okay, that's the next batch done. And again, they're in the pot, they're coming to the boil, and once they're all at the top, then I give it a minute, have a taste, and drain them and put them into the dish. Okay. Yeah, Esther says it's unbelievable. I said it's a miracle. It's honestly a miracle that this happens, that we can make from flour and eggs and nothing these amazing noodles. It's actually life-changing. You think I'm joking? It's really not. For those who have got the Nokedli devices, I think you can give it a little stir with your colander if you want. Mine was stuck together in the bottom. Okay, how are we going? So no, the batter doesn't seep through itself. You need to move that device across, and that's what makes it come out. It sort of pushes it out. So look how lovely they are. Just look at my Nokedli. Just beautiful. So I'm just going to put these in here as well. And now we'll go to the next device that we'll try. We might as well. So you all see now how to follow that. If you look up spaetzle maker, SPAETZLE on Google, you'll get some Amazon options. That's where most people have found theirs, or on eBay. But they're really fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to put that aside, and let's try something else. Okay, option number. Where will I put this here? Okay, let's try this. So you don't have a device. You've just got this spoon. What I would do would be to get my wooden spoon. Okay, and I'm just going to push this on top. I'm going to put the batter on top of this spoon. Okay. Now, somebody asked me the other day, could you make the batter ahead? I wouldn't do that. I think it's best made fresh. I don't know what happens to it. And then I would just put that over the saucepan and see if this works. You know, I'm winging it, guys. I've got no idea if this works or not. Well, it is plopping into the water, but very, very slowly. It's much easier if you've got the device, but this is one possibility. Let's see how we go. Oh, okay. Yes, okay, the measurements for the smaller quantity were 165 grams of flour, 2/3 of a teaspoon of salt, 1 egg, and half a cup of water, okay? So I'm just pushing this through like this, and I think it would be better if you had 3 arms, one to hold it, one to push it through, and one to cut the noodles as they come. But actually this will work fine. Oh, Lauren, I'm glad yours are delicious. It's amazing, isn't it? Like, I do this now. We think, oh, should we cook some risotto with dinner, or should we cook some rice? No, I'll make Nokedli. It takes a second. And with the device, it's really easy. So that didn't work so well in that device because the holes are tiny. But what I wanted to do was to see if I could cut them as they came out, which is probably a bit easier. But it is, you know, it's not the way you're supposed to do it. So that's option number 2. 3, which I say is not a good one, okay? I mean, I'll be here all year. Really, all century, I think, doing this. Take you 3 hours to get all the noodles out for your family. Okay, so that's possibility 1. I'm going to say, nope, that's fail. Okay, so, but still, you know what? Even in that, I'm just impatient maybe. So I did still get out a little batch of noodles, and I'll show you, and they're not terrible. So if that's all you've got, it's not the end of the world, okay? They're really not bad at all, okay? Just through that little spoon. Yeah, I'm going to talk about what to serve it with in a minute. I just want to get these little, I want to just go through all the options. I just can't get distracted yet because, you know, when I get distracted, it's not a good outcome. Okay, how do you spell that thing? Okay, so it's spaetzle. Spaetzle. Okay. So I'm just going to get rid of this device that didn't work successfully, and let's see what we've got. Option number 3. Okay, so yes, rinse them under cold water to save for later, and then you can reheat with oil, with butter, or just in the microwave. Okay, so I'm going to put this on top. I've got a little bit too much water. I'm going to do this last. I'll have to tip the water out. I'll come back to that. Let's try the board way, okay, that Elisabeth used to do. I'm going to try to spoon some of the batter onto a board. And, you know, it's hard because I've never been taught how to do it this way. So I'm just going off Kathy's description to me last night on the phone. Because I rang her and said, I'm doing Nokedli. Have you got any tips? So this is what she says. Her mum used to hold the board and just cut the batter. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be good. I think, well, into the thing. Yeah, well, maybe there's a way to do it that I'm not actually. Maybe it was a wet board. Do you think the wet board? Am I doing the knife thing right though? Except that they're not coming off. What do you think? Maybe a wet board. Well, I wish I was having more success. Maybe a wet knife. Like it's sticking to the knife, right? Is this the way to do it? What do you think, people? It is actually coming off. You do have to have quite... I don't know that the wet board would make a difference. It's the knife that's the issue. Maybe I'll dip the knife in the water. Thank you. Thanks, Dorrit. Got it as you said it. Okay. I love the way we're working together to work this out. You understand that I've never done this before like this, and I'm just using this as an opportunity to try new things. That's it. Into the thing. Okay. Now... my sister's mother, let's start again. My sister's mother-in-law, late mother-in-law, Nunya, used to make this thing called clazy, which was, I think a flat palette knife will be better, okay? Called clazy, which were little triangular noodles, and she used to serve them with fried onions. These would be amazing fried. So you cut it, and then... I've really got no idea what I'm doing. Push the dough down a bit on the board. I think this is just too hard for me to do. No, there we are, that's all right. But they are long noodles, right? They're not the little noodles that we had before. So I'll show you what I've got in here. Okay, thank you, a potato ricer. That's a great idea. So now I've got these lovely big noodles, which are not quite what I wanted. And this is what my noodles look like, okay? So let's say that was not successful. And I need to have some lessons in how to make it with a board, okay? But I know it can be done, and I know there are lots of people out there that know how to do it. I'm just not one of them. So I reckon if you Google it, there's someone on YouTube who's done it. All right, let's put this back and let's go on to the next option. Okay. Let's do, okay. So someone said a potato ricer. Let's try that one. Where is my potato ricer? I think that's, so this is my potato ricer. It's got tiny, tiny holes. Let's see if that works. And then we'll do the colander last, okay? I'm going to put my batter inside. Honestly, the easiest thing, people, is to just buy a spaetzle maker. They're about $20 and you'll just use it all the time. It really, really. Okay, so I'm going to say that knife method did not work. That was not a success for me. But let's see how this works. Okay, all right. Ready? What do we think? No. I'm going to say, well, let's have a look. Did this work? No. Are you all holding your breath like I am? No. That's a no. Well, do you know what? Maybe if I would have put this in water first, that would be good. What do you think? Okay. All right. Okay. Thalia, if you look on our Instagram highlights and stories highlights, I put a link to where you can buy it on Amazon, and I think that's where a lot of people. So this isn't bad actually. It's not as good as the other way, but it's actually not too bad. Okay. So a ricer may work, but it's better if you've got bigger holes. Okay. This is actually not bad at all. The ricer, they have come apart. Let's have a look. Okay. So that is that. And I'm going to do one last way, which is the colander. Let's see how that goes. The other thing you can get, which I did see on Amazon, was like a flat thing that you put on top of your saucepan, that you put the batter on and you use a scraper sort of to push it through, which might be a good idea as well. Okay, my water is boiling. I'm just going to tip a tiny bit out because I want to, I don't want the bottom of the colander to fall into the water. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to tip some out. Just bear with me for 1 sec. Just a little bit. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to put the colander, okay, all right, on top of it. And I'm going to put the batter into the colander and see how we go. Okay, I'm just tipping my batter in using my spatula to get the stuff at the edges. And then I'm going to lift this up, which is not ideal, and I'm going to push it through. But it's just not as easy, and it can be done, but it's the same as my slotted spoon. The holes aren't quite big enough, and it's quite hard to get through. So I'm going to say this method is not my favourite either. So, what have I learned today? I have learned that the best thing to make Nokedli is a spaetzle maker, without a doubt. This of course works, but honestly it just is very hard work. So I think that my vote has not changed, which is to use the spaetzle maker. I feel like this has been very unsuccessful because we're just really here pushing batter through a hole, which doesn't really get me the lovely noodles that the spaetzle maker does. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do is cook these, and I'm going to do one more round with the spaetzle maker because it's so lovely. Robin, yes, all these are recorded and they go straight onto IGTV, which is on our Instagram page. It's the little TV icon in the middle of the page. Every single one of my 46 Okay, so I'm going to finish cooking these. I've got no sound and I don't really know what to do about it. All right then, I'm going to go. These are done. Look how beautiful these are. And, oh, I'm back. Thank goodness. Yeah. Do you know what? That was Danny who called. It's definitely his fault. What is he doing calling me at 12:08 on a weekday when I'm doing these? Always blame the husband. Whatever happens, definitely Danny's fault. I'm glad I'm back. Okay, so that is it. I think we saw all the many different ways that you can do this, but the analysis at the end of it is, of course, the best thing to do is to find yourself a spaetzle maker, and then you can do it really easily. So these are my beautiful spaetzle, and what to serve them with? Well, there are a few options. Number one, something saucy, okay? So chicken paprikash, veal paprikash, if you want to go down the Hungarian route. But if you want to go modern, lighter, not so stodgy, you could make a roasted cherry tomato, olive and caper sauce in the oven and cook some fish fillets in it till it's lovely and saucy, and have that with the nokedli. You could do the same with, what I love to do is cook like roasted chicken Marylands in the oven. There's a recipe in our third book for chicken with echallots and herbs, which is those little echalot onion things, and lots of herbs and olive oil. So cook the chicken. When the chicken's cooked, take it out of the pan, put the pan on the stovetop and toss your nokedli in the pan juices from the roasting chicken. It is next level deliciousness, right? It's really good. So any roasting pan juices go really well with this sort of thing. You could serve them with fried onions like we were talking about, Nunya's clazy. That's what I'd like to do. Fry some onions till they're really golden and toss through your cooked nokedli. Delicious. You can also do it with anything that, like you do gnocchi. You could actually eat them with tomato and cheese. They'd be absolutely beautiful. It's just a pasta. And yes, in soup they'd also be wonderful. You can cook them in your soup. There is a recipe actually in our first book for a soup with, oh, that just reminded me, I think from Aggie Adler. And what it is, she makes these things called chapetki, which are little noodles that she cooks straight in the soup. And I'm just trying to find this recipe and tell you exactly what it is. Bean soup with chapetki on page 13 of that book. And she has flour, egg and a bit of water. So it's similar, slightly different quantities, but same thing. And she just makes them, her batter is not a batter, hers is a dough. And she pulls off little sort of fingernail sized pieces of the dough and puts them in the soup and cooks them. So that's another thing. So that's it from me. I'm going to go eat a big bowl of nokedli. I hope that you learnt something today. I certainly learnt that the nokedli maker is, the spaetzle maker is the easiest way to make them. They're just yummy. What's good about them? And that's what I like. They're not a noodle that just goes to mush in your mouth. It actually has substance, and it's chewy in a good way, and it's just so bloody delicious. So that is my nokedli day for today on the 21st day of September. And I hope you all go away singing that song for the rest of the day and thinking of this lovely cooking community that we have here together. Tomorrow, I'll be back with orange bread and butter pudding, which is a really great recipe. So I hope you've kept your leftover challah or leftover bread. You just need 200 grams for tomorrow without the crust. So that's the weight without the crust. And some blood oranges, some eggs and cream. Look at the recipe. We're going to post it today again. And thank you for being with me. It's been really fun. I think we're going to have the 50th session on Friday. I've got to check. I always forget because it doesn't tell you till you post it. So I'll check. It might be 50 and we might have to have a bit of a party on Friday and a bit more of a boogie. I will see you tomorrow at 11:30, same time, same place. Different dish, something a little sweet and really comforting. Go and enjoy your nokedli, people. I hope I answered all your questions. Remember, if you're going to cook them, serve them later, you can also just rinse them in cold water and season it later with oil or butter and salt and pepper. But if you're going to eat them now, they're perfect. So thank you all, and please post photos and tag us so that I can repost them. Bye all. I'll see you later.